A dangerous warning of the approaching end of the world. Solar storms will melt human flesh. It seems as if it is the end of human beings on planet Earth. What will happen? Solar storms threaten the Earth and those on it, and they are called cannibals. The globe is preparing to face a possible solar storm described by scientists as a cannibal, and the storm was preceded by many other storms, which affected communications and energy networks in many countries. Energy networks in many countries have received warnings that the upcoming solar storm occurred due to a series of explosions on the surface of the Sun and is associated with the emergence of sunspots, which may cause magnetic storms on the surface of the Sun. We are seeing a lot of Sun activity, which has increased our interest in this matter, and when these storms approach the Earth, they will damage the satellites, Bill Murtage, an expert in space weather, told Profound Space. This week's Cannibal Storm was caused by explosions in the solar corona, which are magnetic solar bubbles called CMEs, which scientists liken to the occasional burp of the Sun. Murtag says, these explosions are a cloud of plasma gas weighing 1 billion tons with magnetic fields, so the Sun was and has launched a huge magnet into space 150 million kilometers from the planet, but the Earth has its own magnetic field, and magnetic fields that interfere in space often has bad effects. He continues that the meeting of the solar and Earth magnets together will create a geomagnetic storm, and in some cases it can grow more in space and multiply its effect. And Space stated that magnetic storms could interfere with these events with the vital infrastructure of the planet, which will affect power networks, navigation satellites, and radio communications for aircraft in remote areas, and for this reason, the Space Weather Prediction Center was established to monitor them. These storms also cause damage to humans due to the presence of X-rays and UV rays, which can cause burns to humans, as well as extensive failures in power networks. It is reported that there have been several solar storms before, the last of which was in 1989 and had a duration of 12 hours and caused losses in power stations throughout the Canadian province of Quebec, and also one in 1859 and was known as the Carrington storm. Unfortunately, space weather is more difficult to predict than the weather on this is because scientists are still working to understand how the Sun actually works. Solar storms. The phenomena that scientists called space storms can affect the Earth in several ways, the most dangerous of which is causing damage to satellite infrastructure, causing communications to be cut off and people to be isolated. Over the past several years, we have detected very little activity, such as during the limit, space scientist Bill Murtage, program coordinator at the Space Weather Prediction Center, SWPC, of the U.S. National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, NOAA, told Space.com. Minimum solar energy, but now we are moving very quickly to the maximum of the next solar cycle, which we expect during 2025. Several major geomagnetic storms hit the planet in early November, shortly after Halloween, and scientists consider them to be indicators of the current phase of the Sun's cycle. It will be the end of the Internet and the world of technology speculation of solar storms that will return the Earth to primitiveness. The end of the world astronomical research clarifies the relationship of earthquakes and astronomical phenomena with their approach. We are seeing an increase in activity that one would expect with this rise in the solar cycle, Murtage added. He continued, this is a kind of awakening phase that has been observed. Sometimes, these storms can increase as they travel from the Sun to Earth, something space researchers call deconstruction. It determines the size of those storms and the way they interact with the planet's magnetic field and their resulting geomagnetic effects, and if they are large enough, the consequences may be worrying, according to the warnings issued by scientists. If this estimate proves to be accurate, it would greatly increase the probability of a large-scale event in this decade, said Sangeetha Jyoti of the University of California.